Hey there, this is Mr. Icarus, and welcome to yet another edition of Mod Madness. This time round, we're checking out a Half-Life 2 source mod by the name of Watching Paint Dry the Game. Now, the objective of Watching Paint Dry the Game is, you guessed it, to watch paint dry in real time. Which, come to think of it, reminds me of the fact that I have no idea how long it takes for paint to in fact dry. Let me just double check this here. Oh god, we're gonna be here for a while. And the door is locked. Goody. Well, that only leaves one thing left for me to do, and boy, there sure are a lot of physics objects in this here room. Well, now that I've got that out of my system, I can at least settle down and appreciate some fine art.
Hello, it's me, Mario. Oh, nice computer you got here.
What?
Can I have it?
No.
One,
Golf.
two...
No! Son of a...
Welcome to Watching Paint Dry the Game.
You know what?
In
Sod
this
this. I'm gonna
game,
touch the wall.
I didn't even get to finish talking, and you've already touched the wall. You come into a game called Watching Paint Dry, and you don't even have the patience to wait for longer than 30 seconds.
Deal with it!
What? How about we go into something even more monotonous instead?
Wait.
Maybe you'll like that better.
No.
Welcome to Watching Grass Grow the Game.
Ah, shit.
In this game, you sit and watch grass grow in real time.
Alright, maybe
You
we'll play
don't
by the
get to
rules.
mess.
So, bad news, the door still stays locked when you return, but good news, I eventually figured out where the key was. Additional bad news, I somehow managed to drop the grate in such a way that trapped the key underneath it. Actually pretty good luck that it landed on one of the boxes here, because it granted me just enough leverage to get underneath, grab the key, and finally get my way into the kitchen. Kitchen comes with all your standard fittings: fridge, radio, bust of Dr. Breen, and of course, a gravity gun. Down the hallway and up the stairs, you'll eventually find yourself an unlocked door that leads to just the most delightfully designed bathroom. I mean, who wouldn't, in this modern age, want their bathroom to resemble only the dingiest of public toilets? Naturally, I had to check whether or not it was flushable. It's just a done thing, and on that front, top marks. Not so sure about the ability for the toilet to transport me into an adjacent pocket dimension, however. That one's a little weird. Not sure I'd want to have to do that every single time I take a dump.
You seem to have jumped across dimensions and transcended into the wrong game by flushing the toilet. I'll be honest with you, I've never seen somebody do that before.
While interesting, these situations unfortunately tend to reset your progression back to the start of the game. But on the upside, you'll now have a lot more knowledge about how this whole thing is set up, allowing you to essentially speedrun your way back to the point where you were at last. In this case, I was able to check the adjacent door before the spiel was even finished, and find this thing. Not to mention a keycard reader hidden cunningly behind a painting in the hallway. That at least was giving me a little bit more solid direction. Find a keycard, use on keycard reader, unlock door, but I certainly wasn't having any luck finding one in this here room. Out of options, I decided to head back down the stairs, whereupon I spot a very suspicious looking bit of plywood. I mean, are there any other kinds? My hunch turned out to be correct, and wouldn't you know it, there's a whole bunch of crawl space located back here, including a secret room stashed with equipment and a keycard. Not to mention some kind of flippable power switch, which I just activated for shits and giggles without really knowing what it was going to do. An attitude that was very shortly about to bite me in the backside. Security door unlocked, we gain access to this monitoring station where there's yet another power switch and another very tantalizing button with caution written above it. Of course it's getting pushed, and yes, with the benefit of hindsight, I very much regret it.
What did you just do? Wait. I know what you... Ha 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 ha.
Hello, I'm Bonzi. You have awakened me from my slumber, and I have come to eradicate your world. You pressed the suspicious-looking button on the wall, and now I'm free. You fool. There was a warning right above it. How did you not see it? Anyway, because you awoke me, I shall return the favor by allowing you 30 extra seconds to live before I completely erase this world. You might want to enjoy what's left of the game while you still can, because there is nothing you can do to stop me. I'm the god of this world, and soon all others. Bonzi.
So, quick history lesson on Bonzi before he rips reality apart. Back in the early 2000s, Bonzi was a desktop assistant, kind of like Clippy, but more psychotic and more prone to installing unwanted software on your PC and potentially selling your kidneys. By 2007, it had been ranked by PC World as number 6 in the most annoying tech products of all time. Because yes, it does in fact sound like that. And yes, Joel, back in 2014, destroyed a Windows XP installation with it. And now, here it is, in current year 2022, reaping my goddamn soul.
My crazy all formula.
Welcome to watching paint dry.
Oh
The
shit.
game.
Here we
In
go
this
again.
game, the
So this time
walls
around, I decided to be
dry.
a little bit more attentive, let's say, to what's going on in the house. Taking note, of course, of the diagram on the wall here, because I did notice during my frenzied Bonzi run that the satellite dish does indeed attach to the machinery here. No doubt other elements around the house could be brought into play, including the power switches. The trickiest switch for me to locate actually turned out to be in the kitchen, because it didn't really occur to me to do all that much fiddling, aside from tossing the radio all over the place because of that goddamn jangly guitar tune. Suffice to say, the fridge is key to unlocking the mystery here, its doors concealing a secret passageway leading to that final required power switch, and also giving you the opportunity to drop down a very dangerous looking pit, which at this point I chose not to do. I had something entirely more stupid in mind. You see, I had somewhat misinterpreted the blueprint behind the machine upstairs. I had taken the presence of the clock on the diagram to mean that I still should activate Bonzi and then run back to the machine during the countdown. This was extremely wrong, and only during the countdown did I remember there was a clock in the kitchen I could probably slap on the front of the machine, so in a frenzied attempt to salvage this run from Bonzi's malevolent grasp, I managed to slap it on the machine, open a time portal, of course, and find that even in the reaches of a temporal anomaly, Bonzi can still collapse reality.
Welcome to watching paint dry. The game.
Now you'd think I'd be mad about all of this, but no, this is fine. This is perfectly fine, because I hold all the cards now. I know exactly how they're meant to be played, and no goddamn purple monkey is gonna get in my goddamn way.
Okay, you're back. I don't quite know what happened, but a couple hours ago you jumped into that energy ball and vanished. You didn't even leave a trace, just poof. Well, you're back now, so I guess that's what matters.
Could it be? Is it finally done? I'm almost afraid to touch it. What if it's a trick? I've been burned too many times. You know what, sod it. Let's touch the wall.
You have touched the wall. The wall was dry. You win.
Hey!
Congratulations.
What's my prize? Anything? Confetti? Kick the desktop? Oh, come on. You know, it says a lot about a mod when an ending like that just feels too simple to be the right ending. And something was certainly nagging at the back of my mind because I still hadn't checked out the mystery pit. And oh boy does this route take you on a journey. So for starters, your first drop will land you in a darkened, altogether more ominous feeling version of the house you just left. There's not actually all that much for you to do here other than soak up the atmosphere, head upstairs, and discover that the caution button up in the Bonzi room is now a different color. You'd think red would similarly put me off after dealing with Bonzi, but no. I pressed it all the same, and as luck would have it, it turns out to be a simple reset switch, meaning that if you're not too keen on tumbling down the rabbit hole just yet, you can go back to the original version of the house and crack on with something else. This version of the house, however, also has a fridge, and this fridge also has a passageway that also leads to another mystery pit. I ask you, what's a guy to do? The next version of the house is decidedly much more aflame than the last. Similar lack of stuff to do other than try not to get yourself burned, and once again plunge into the reaches of the fridge passageway. Next house is a bit more apocalyptic feeling, as if the fire wasn't enough, but it's the sands gumming up the windows and lining the hallway that gives a feeling of cataclysm. And honestly, I've really got to give it credit for just the sheer degree of ominous atmosphere it builds as you decide to push on further and descend into whatever might lie ahead. As it happens, the next version of the house is decidedly more Combine-flavored than the last, and does actually boast something else for you to mess around with, because up in the Bonzi room, there is all of a sudden a brand new button for me to press, and you know me, I just can't resist a dangerous looking button. I regret everything! Oh god, I regret everything! So yeah, sod that one in particular. They just keep spawning, and even the reset button at the top doesn't send you back anyway. So, moving on. You know, I try not to use the bison clip too many times during a video, but still. Of course! Heading to the upper part of the house will lead you to a staircase, taking you up to a control center featuring quite possibly the most tantalizing big red button I have seen as of yet. Should you push it? Probably not. Probably not. If I'm gonna be completely honest here though, I really can't argue with the results.
You know what? How about we teleport back to the top layer and just look at what you just did? Wow, this is even worse than I thought it would be. I thought it would be more like a blaze of nuclear glory, but this is just depressing. At least the paint still looks good. Anyway, enjoy nuclear fallout. I'm leaving.
I feel like I should be making some insightful commentary on the consequences of my decisions and how it makes me feel bad, but honestly, I play video games sometimes to be a complete and utter psychopath, so this is fine. You know, after getting to the moon version of this house, I'm honestly surprised that these keep going. Sure, a few of them are a little featureless and bare, but just as much they can be followed up by something like this, which transforms the house into a Nova Prospect version of itself, which actually requires a little bit of light puzzling for you to get back to the fridge and drop down another layer.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Hold on. You're not Stanley.
You know, I was actually wondering how long it was going to take for a Stanley Parable reference, but here we are. Surprised they actually waited this long.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to sit here with you for hours watching a wall dry. So I'm opening the door, and I'll just improvise a news story. At the end of the hallway stood a door, and behind the door was a red button shone from the concrete wall. And Stanley didn't think twice before doing what he does best. He pressed the button.
Nope, we're not doing that. As inclined as I am to push big red buttons, I know exactly where that's gonna land me, and I do not want to have to drop down all these goddamn layers all over again.
Stanley instead decided that his eating disorder was more important than the story.
Don't you fat shame me! So at this point I was starting to get ever so slightly paranoid, thinking that this had started to infinitely loop, what with its resemblance to a very early version of the house I dropped into, but as luck would have it, the monitoring room offers something a little different.
Hello, welcome to my house. This is where I sit and watch you watch paint dry. Feel free to look around, and if you want to go back up to the top layer, just press that button on the wall. Have fun.
Do you get it? It's a monitoring room. It's a monitor that monitors you on monitors in a monitoring room. Do you get it? In any case, there's still a fair bit of exploration that you can do in this final version of the house. The computer crawl space is there, albeit a little bit more expanded, which led me to believe there was something worth interacting with, but truth is it's just a little bit of a diversion. At the back of the attic, there's a chalkboard stashed away behind the door, and if you're really looking for things to mess around with that have any kind of meaningful impact, there's a little switch just nestled under the desk here that will take you into the graffiti room. What's the big deal about the graffiti room? It's a room with graffiti in it. It's very literal. So yeah, I can imagine a few out there might feel slightly underwhelmed with that as an ending, and that would be because it isn't.
Just created a paradox. Anything that touches the paint is supposed to get removed from existence. Since I just touched the paint, I have to remove myself from existence. There's a problem, however. If I remove myself from existence, I won't be in existence anymore. But if I'm not in existence anymore, I won't be here to remove myself from existence again later. Therefore,
One eternity later.
well, I'm still talking to you, so obvious I haven't gotten removed yet. Or maybe I did, and we're just flickering in between the removals. Or maybe I'm immortal, and therefore exempt from paradoxes. But if I'm exempt from paradoxes, I wouldn't be stuck here talking to you about them. Or is the universe just collapsing around this house as we descend down this infinite track?
And forth about whether or not I should get removed from existence. That would be great too, I think. I just tried myself.
Oh, thank God, I thought he'd never shut up. So, this is what happens when you break reality. Is the paint even dry at this point? I'm not even sure that question matters anymore. Sod it. We're going outside. Hope you enjoyed the journey. It's been a weird one, but I really wouldn't have it any other way. Until next time, this has been Mr. Icarus. Thank you very much for watching. Icarus out.